right, we are live. Cool. All right, welcome everybody. Today I was thinking of walking through how I manage writing projects in Obsidian. The reason for this being that there was a really great plugin that existed for this called the projects plugin, and it has since disappeared, or it has actually been archived. So the developer of the plugin actually posted that they'd be willing to hand it off to somebody if they wanted to take over development of it, but that hasn't happened, and so it is currently read-only, and it's been removed from the Obsidian community plugins directory. And I know a lot of people who relied on that plugin to manage their writing projects. It was a pretty great plugin that gave you a Kanban style view of your writing projects. So you could have links to your notes, and then those would be the cards. So you could manage the cards, drag them from column to column as you go from left to right. And I guess real quick here for people who are currently watching, are you familiar with the Kanban style project management? If not, I can get into that a little bit and kind of walk through how that works. But essentially what you do is you have all of the things that you are going to do on the left in probably like a backlog column. And then you have different columns for the different statuses, like selected for development or in progress to review, and then done is on the right side. So basically, as things go from left to right, it's a visual indication of the progress that you are making on those projects. So you can kind of look at it and quickly get a feel for where things are at. I first came across it when I was with a company that was doing agile project management, or Scrum. We would have these 2-week sprints where we would have all the things that we had selected to do in the backlog. And over the course of the 2 weeks, you wanted to get everything from the left side of the column to the right side of the column. And you want to actually ship all of those things. So that's what we did. We would have the cards and people would comment on the cards. But I think that managing your personal projects this way is really a good way to do the personal projects, especially with writing in Obsidian. So that's what I set out to recreate when the projects plugin disappeared. Now, I have created a solution which actually uses a couple different plugins that I was currently using, and then one additional plugin. So I can share a screen here and we can start to walk through this. All right, so this is my Obsidian Vault, and the first plugin that you really need to put this together is the Kanban plugin. So the Kanban plugin is this one, and there's a whole bunch of settings here. Actually, let me go to the Community Plugins directory. I'll show you exactly which one this is. This is the popular one by MG Meyer. As you can see, it's been downloaded almost 2 million times, and this is basically what it does. Is it creates these Kanban boards. Now mine don't look exactly like this. These are basically just cards with text in them. Mine are all, I want them linked to my creative projects, so those are actually the files in Obsidian that I'm going to be writing. So instead of having all this text, what I actually have is links to the files themselves. But this is what the Kanban plugin does. Now, what's nice about this plugin is that it is just still plain text markdown on the background, or in the background. So this is the actual source mode of the file. You can see there's some metadata at the top, Kanban-plugin : basic. So that basically says render this as a Kanban board. And then there's the second level headers for the swim lanes. And then everything that's on there as a card is basically a checkbox. So kind of like a task, but I actually differentiate my tasks in Obsidian. I do all of my task management in Obsidian as well. That's probably another live stream at some point. but I use the Obsidian task plugin to differentiate those, and those all have a hashtag to do tag, which helps the plugin determine what is actually a task and what's actually like a checklist item. So technically everything that's on these Kanban boards would be a checklist item, but you can see you can have multiple lines here, make things bold, all that kind of stuff. So this is the first part. We need this plugin. And then if you wanted to just make a new Kanban board, what you would do is just command palette, so command P, and then start typing Kanban, and you can create new board. This is going to create an untitled Kanban board, and this is actually what it looks like here. I'll try to actually build this whole thing from scratch in this live stream instead of just relying on the things that have that already exist. Hopefully I don't make any mistakes and it all works, but this is my untitled Kanban board, as you can see, and then basically you need to create the lanes. So these are the different statuses that things might have. And the very first one that I'll add here is idea. Actually, let's make this. I like to keep these all lowercase. So idea, backlog. So idea is basically the ideas that I want to have for like video scripts or newsletters, things like that. I'll put them in the idea bucket when it's something that I know I want to write about at some point. Backlog is, okay, I'm actually going to write about this, but I haven't really started working on it yet. And then we can keep adding cards here this way, but we can also, even if you click done and you essentially you made a mistake, you're not done building out your board yet, you can still add those by going to the three dots here and then insert list after or insert list before. If you do insert list before, it's going to stick it to the left. So that's what this one is now, and we'll call this in progress. But now these are out of order. Fortunately, you can just kind of drag these, if I remember right. Oh, come on. Thought you could drag these. Maybe I got to force the reload. 1 second. All right. Yeah, it's not going to let me move those, is it? All right. Well, one way we could do this is if we open this as Markdown. You can see these are the categories. So let's just move this down here. All right. And then let's go back. Whoops. View this as Kanban. All right. Now they're in the correct order. So let's insert a list after this. We'll call this review. And then the last one is done. Okay, now you can see there is a toggle here to mark the cards as complete when they get to this point. I'm not really managing these that way, so I don't really worry about this, but could be helpful if potentially. My space is full of information to stuck sometime. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Ahmed. I'm sorry. But okay. So there's the Kanban board. I guess I could get rid of the file explorer here so it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, so now you can manually just add cards here. And when you add a card, it asks for the card title, and then you can put text below it. This is basically all in that line with the checkbox. Okay, so if I put in here, test card. All right, that just has a card with text on it. And you can drag this between different columns, but that's basically all there is to it. Now, fortunately, when you edit this, you can, this is, let me pull this in. Okay, just so people are familiar with this, Joseph, this is the Kanban plugin. This is the one by MG Myers. So this is the one that has almost 2 million downloads. And this is just the beginning of the system that we're going to be building here today, but kind of going slow and layering this as we go. So with these cards, though, the key here for me is that you can do double brackets and you can actually link this to a note that is in your in your vault. So if I wanted to link this to the, 5 types of wealth review, this is an actual note that exists. Okay, then I can put that in there, hit enter, and now we've got the link here. There is a setting, which is why if you're following along and building this, you're not going to see this publish date, and you're not going to see the tag here. Since this is a note that already exists in a different Kanban board, I have that data added. And there's a setting that you can set for the Kanban plugin that will pull that stuff in across the board. So not just for this specific board, but for all the boards. And I have that configured. I'll actually go walk through that next. All right, so let's just delete this card for now. Now, deleting the card did not actually delete the note. It just deleted the reference to that note. Okay, so the settings for the Kanban plugin that bring in that additional information are actually further down here. Okay, let's see, right here, linked page metadata. Okay, so the way this works is that when you have a link to a note in the card, it will pull in the metadata from that linked note and display it in the card. And you can choose the key. So this is what actually appears in your properties, for example, inside of the note. And then this is the display label. So you can see I tend to use all lowercase for my properties. So published at date, there's no spaces in this, but I want that a little bit cleaner when I display it. So publish space date. I'm not hiding the label. This field does not contain markdown. It's just going to show the text there. Now the other one that I add is the tags. So metadata key tags, display label tags, and I do want to hide the label here because you kind of get the idea when you see the tags. They're the little purple pills, they're rounded, they've got the hashtag. It's obvious what they are. So the label is unnecessary for that. Okay, so this is the board. Those are the properties. And then when you add the card, like I mentioned, it's going to display those properties. Now, I do want to show something where you can edit this stuff, but I actually do need to open up one of my other legit Kanban boards here to show this. So if I go into writing, projects, video scripts, this is a Kanban board. I stumbled across this the other day. I'm not quite sure how long this has been in Obsidian, but this was one of those, like when I first started using my Mac and I dragged a file onto the Messages app and it attached the file to the thing I wanted to send. And I was like, oh my gosh, you can actually do that. That's sort of what this was. If you look at one of these cards, these are all links to actual notes, right? So how to get started with Obsidian in 2025, for example. This is a video script that I'm working on. When you hover over the link, it actually gives you this preview. And the status and the published date are up there at the top as those properties. Those you can actually manipulate from this preview. So let me find an example here. Let's just do this one. Using bases to create an on this day widget in your daily note. You can actually click in here, you get the pop-up, you can select a different date from the pop-up, and then it updates the values in those metadata properties. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm also going to show, as part of this workflow, a way where you can automatically update that stuff as you drag the things between the different columns in the Kanban board. All right. So if you have any questions at any point, please just leave them in the chat. I'm happy to answer those as we go. But this is the basics of the Kanban plugin here. Okay. So then the next thing that I wanted to be able to add a template to a note when I created it in a specific folder. So these writing projects for video scripts, writing projects is the folder. This video scripts file, this is my Kanban board. But if you go into my file explorer here, I have all of those different types of projects in specific folders. So if I go into video scripts and I go into, let's see, a bunch of untitled ones here. Let me delete these. Clean this up a little bit. I will show you in a second what these actually look like. All right. So let's see, the one that I was just working on, I think, let's see, how to get started with Obsidian 2025. Okay, so the template for this essentially is pretty simple. There's the status, there's the publish date, and then the rest of this is just blank. That's where I actually just write the video scripts. Okay, so I actually word for word script my polished YouTube videos, which is why these live streams are a little bit of a challenge for me. Joseph asked a great question. So let me pull this up. Do I think I will continue to use Kanban after Basis gets released to manage projects and the notes that correspond to those projects? I do, because I am not convinced Basis is actually going to get a legit Kanban view anytime soon. I could be wrong, and honestly, I kind of hope that I'm wrong, but there's cards and there's the table view, and I really feel like Basis just needs to dial in the core functionality before they would start creating a bunch of other views. I do use Basis. I think I walked through that last time a little bit with like the book notes database and stuff like that. Happy to go back and look at that again if people want. But yeah, this workflow right here that I'm building, I built this because I wanted a couple specific things. I wanted a Kanban style board where I could manage my writing projects. I wanted links to the actual notes so I could do the writing for the projects in the note that appeared on the Kanban board. I wanted to be able to create these notes on these Kanban boards and have templates applied. That's the part we're at right now. And then I want the statuses to automatically update as I drag the cards across the board. So those, like, that's a very specific things that I'm trying to get out of this system, and I'm not sure Basis is gonna get all the way there, but I could be wrong. I think Basis is great, by the way. I just think it has it's got some growing up to do. There's a reason it's in a very long beta phase. Okay, so this is basically the template. Now the templates I have are actually in a templates folder. So all my templates are here, and you can see the video script template is very basic. If I go to source mode, you can see what this actually looks like. It's really just a couple of metadata properties. So we've got the publish date, that's when it's actually going to go out. And then the status, so where it is on the Kanban board. I actually, for my video scripts, go back and forth with an editor who helps me, and we use Notion for that. So sometimes I'll link to the appropriate Notion card and then any tags that are associated with it. I will also have separate templates here for like articles, which again, if we go to source mode, publish date, status, URL, so basically where it lives on the web, and then tags. But then the body of the template is pretty much blank. I'm just doing my writing there. And then the other one that I use is newsletters, and this one has a little bit more. All right, so again, publish date, status, Notion, tags, but then my newsletter typically has a couple different sections, and those are differentiated by second level headers. So the big idea, which is really just like a short PKM essay, something cool. I linked to something cool that I found in the last week, which is usually Obsidian related. And then book notes. I read a lot of books, so I share a mind map PDF of notes from a book that I read recently. So if you're interested in the newsletter, practicalpkm.com, you can sign up for free. It goes out every Monday morning. But this is the template that automatically will get applied then when I create a new newsletter. Okay, now the way that works is using the Templater plugin. So Templater, actually let's go to the community plugins just to find this one, so people know what it looks like. It's this one right here. Again, downloaded a ton of times, 2,793,000 downloads. This lets you create templates. There is the templates core plugin in Obsidian as well. This one has some additional features. One of the things that I love about this one, if we go into the options for this, is that you can set folder templates. Okay, so what this does, you got to toggle this on, and then you choose the folder, and then you choose the template file that you want to use when you add a note into that folder. So I've got these for video scripts, articles, newsletters, book notes, personal retreats. I like the 5 light bulbs marketing methodology that Billy Broaz talks about. I've gone through his cohort before, sermon notes, and then I've got a template for the files that I create for the Bookworm podcast. So when this is toggled on and that's configured correctly, what it does, let me just show you here. If I go into the newsletters folder, okay, and we right click and we create a new note, it will open up the untitled note and you can see it applies the template here. And as you can see, I've got a couple things to clean up here. So let's delete these. All right. But that's the idea. Okay. So templater allows me to handle that, when I create a new file in the folder, but there's still a piece missing here. You probably noticed it, where I've got the file now, which has the template applied, but that doesn't automatically add it to the Kanban board. I still have to go to the Kanban board and link that particular note. And that is a bit of a pain. So, I could create a new newsletter using the template here and then go back and add the file, but it'd be better if we could actually do both of those at the same time. So that's actually what we're gonna look at here. I'm just grabbing one thing here. Okay. So let me show you how to do this using another plugin called QuickAdd. All right, so if we go to, well, actually, I guess community plugins yet again. QuickAdd is amazing, by the way. I definitely recommend the QuickAdd plugin. It can do a ton, and I use it heavily with task capture and then also journaling. So journaling is probably another thing that would be great for a live stream. But anyways, yeah, so here's the QuickAdd plugin. Again, downloaded over 1 million times. There's a couple different things you can use QuickAdd for. I'm going to go into the options here, and you'll see I've got a whole bunch of commands that I've actually added here. So video idea, article idea, newsletter idea. Those are all basically functioning the same way. And that's basically what we'll build here. But then I've also got ones to, create a new people note, capture daily questions, capture a quote, create a new task, capture wins, gratitude, journal entries, etc. The thing that we need for this, and the way we're going to use this, is we're actually going to both create a file in the appropriate folder and add a card with the link to that note automatically to the appropriate section in our Kanban board. Okay, so in order to do this, we need to create macros. So these are not macros. The macros actually are behind another thing here. So let's delete the demo. Let's actually add another one. We'll call demo. So these are the 3 that I've configured, and these are basically all doing the same thing. They're just using different templates and putting them in different folders. So when we create a new demo macro, is it because I already had that one in there? Let's see. Try that. Add macro. Okay. We don't have to worry about the run on plugin load, but then we need to go into the configure settings and we can choose a couple different things for this basically. The first part of this is the template piece. So if we click on add template choice, it gives us an unnamed template choice. And then if we go click on the gear icon, we can choose the template path and all of the appropriate settings. So the template path for this, I'll use one of my previously used templates, but let's just go templates folder and let's do newsletter because that's the easiest one to see. Okay, so there's the template. Now the file name format, this is where things get interesting. We're going to toggle this on and we're going to use double curly brackets and then something like value : and a prompt. So what's the big idea? Double curly brackets. Okay. You can see there's a preview line right above this, which renders what this is going to look like. Now that's not actually the text that's going to be captured there. It's going to present a pop-up box where we can capture the idea. This file that we're going to create, we want to create in a specific folder. Let's create this in the newsletters folder. So I'm going to toggle this on, and then I don't want to choose the folder when I'm creating a note. I'm going to actually just choose it right now. Let's go newsletters. And then you have to make sure that you click this add button so that you see it in the list below here. Okay, so now we're going to create a file with the template. It's going to prompt us for the name, and it's going to stick it in the newsletters folder. All right, the rest of this we can basically just leave. All right, so that's the first part of this. And then if you click on this name, you can actually rename this. So we'll call this, create the file. All right, and then from here, we need to close this and add another piece. So now we'll add a capture choice. Again, untitled capture choice. So now we're going to capture this to a specific section of a specific file. All right, so we do not want to capture to the active file. We want to actually capture this to my untitled Kanban board. Okay, so search for untitled Kanban. There's the one that we created. Okay, don't need to worry about creating the file if it doesn't exist, because that's the previous step of the macro we just created. We do want this to be formatted as a task, which literally just means the dash space left bracket space right bracket. That is the formatting that the Kanban plugin uses for the cards. We do not want to write to the bottom of the file. We don't want to append to link. We do want to insert this after. Now, way back at the beginning, remember I was walking through the Kanban plugin and I showed the markdown view of this. Okay, so there is a second level header for each of the columns. We want to insert after the second level header for the section that we want this to be added to. So we'll insert this after, I think it was second level header idea. Okay, now if you want this to appear at the bottom of the list, you'll want to toggle on this if you leave this insert at end of section option. Otherwise, this will appear at the top of the list. Okay, consider subsections, don't have to worry about that. Create the line, if not found, all of this stuff can be left. Now the capture format, this we need to configure, and we're actually going to do the exact same thing that we just had. So double curly brackets, value, Obsidian rows, give me a second, it's going to kick in here eventually. Hopefully. Okay, must have hit something I didn't mean to. So go back to untitled capture choice. All right, value, colon, what's the big idea? All right, now because for the card, we want a link to the note, we need to put all of this inside of double brackets. Okay, so double left bracket and double right bracket. That basically will take whatever response we give it and put that inside here and turn it into a link. All right, let me know if that does not make sense. But, and again, we'll go back up here and we'll call this create the task. Okay, these names that you pick up here don't really matter. It's just for clarity when you're looking at the macro, you kind of understand what's going on here. Okay, so there's our demo macro. That's the first part of this. So when this runs, it's going to create the file, then it's going to create the task. It's going to do that in quick succession. Okay, and in order to invoke this, now we need to have a command or a choice that is added here. Okay, so there's 4 different options in QuickAdd here. Template, which is kind of what we talked about. You can create a new file and apply a template, capture, macro, which is going to run multiples of these, and then multi, which I think that's actually like a multi. I'm not even sure what that does. Yeah, let's not worry about that for now. Maybe that runs multiple commands or multiple macros, but we want to run a single macro, and this one we actually don't need to use the same name. This is just what's going to show up in the QuickAdd list. So if I were to say demo idea, now obviously this is kind of clumsy because if I wanted to record a video, I want video idea, article idea, newsletter idea. This is just so we can differentiate these. Okay, so we'll add this choice. Now, this currently we can access this via the command palette if we go to QuickAdd. If we toggle on the exclamation or the lightning bolt icon here, we can actually add this command directly to the command palette. What's the difference there? Let me just show you. If I go run the command palette and I search for QuickAdd, these are all the ones that actually have those exclamation or the lightning bolts toggled on. So typically that's what I would do. If you go to QuickAdd, run QuickAdd, this will actually give you access to all of the commands. So this is where you'll see demo idea, but that's another click or another keystroke to get to that point. So typically what I do is I toggle these on, and then what that allows you to do from the command palette is run this, QuickAdd, and now you'll actually see demo idea in the list. Okay, now while we're in the command palette, something else that's worth highlighting here. The command palette is actually a great way to discover commands for plugins when you install them. So if you installed the the Kanban plugin, first thing I would do would actually be to go open up the command palette and type in the word Kanban, and you'll see all the commands that that plugin has added to Obsidian. So if you wanted to see, for example, periodic notes, you get the idea. There's going to be different options that are available here. So right out of the box, this can help you kind of grok what is possible inside of a plugin or a plugin that you would install. Now the other thing that's worth calling out here, if I go back and I search for QuickAdd, you'll see on the right side here all of the associated keyboard hotkeys that are assigned to these different commands. So I've got one here which is Command, Control, Option, Shift T for new task. And I've got another app that I use called Super Key, which remaps my caps lock key so that it's the same thing as hitting all 4 of those modifiers in the lower left corner of my keyboard. So I can just hit caps lock T and it runs that command. But you can actually configure these hotkeys in the settings, and it's worth doing if you're going to use something over and over again. You just go to the hotkeys section, and then here is a list of all of the different commands. But you can also just search for these. So if I wanted to see all the QuickAdd commands, here they are. And then if you wanted to assign one, you could just hit the plus button here and then record the key hotkey. Now, what happens is if you record this and there's a conflict, it will tell you what the conflict is. It'll turn red like this. So we definitely don't want to use Command, Control, Option, Command T because that's already being used somewhere else. Let's use something else like, let's try, there we go, demo idea. Okay, so now if we go to the command palette, we can see the keyboard hotkeys. So if you forget what a keyboard hotkey is, the command palette is actually a great way to reference those, and you can find those out again. Now I'm going to add that once we're back at the untitled Kanban board, because this is where you'll actually see it happen. But you can be anywhere in your Obsidian Vault when you run this command now, okay? So let's run this command, demo idea. All right, did I not select a macro? Sorry about that, we got an error. So let's go back here, demo idea. Oh yes, the macro. We want to use the demo macro. All right, missed that part. Sorry, but just to clarify that, I had created it, but I had not gone back and told it which macro to actually use. So the way to do that is just to click on the gear icon here, and then you got the list of the macros that you have available. And then this is where you would configure that specific macro. So that should be all we need to do. And then if we wanted to create a macro, we could hit the plus button, but we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so now let's try this again. Demo idea. No commands in the selected macro. What am I doing wrong here? Demo. There's the commands. All right. Let's try a force reload, which I do pretty much anytime Obsidian doesn't seem to be keeping up with something that I'm doing. Forcing a reload usually fixes this. All right, try this again. Demo idea. There we go. Okay. So what it does then is it prompts me for what's the big idea. And then this is what I will type. That's going to become the name of the file and the link on the card. So I don't know, let's say personal retreat update. All right, and then when I click OK or hit enter, the file is going to get created. The card's going to get created, and the file, as you can see, has applied the appropriate template. Now, one thing that you'll see here that actually is not something that we've covered yet is this status of idea. Okay, now that got applied because this note is in the idea column. So that is the last part of this for me. So if you remember, going back to the beginning, I wanted a Kanban board. I wanted links to the actual notes where I was going to do the writing. I wanted templates to automatically be applied. Now with QuickAdd, we can create the note, have it add to the Kanban board at the same time. The last part of this is to get that status to update as we move things from one column to the next. All right, so there's actually another plugin that we're going to use for this last piece. And this is called Kanban Status Updater. So this is a small plugin. This one does not have 2 million downloads, just 1,500. And what this does is basically update the metadata when you move a card from one column to the next. So if I go to the options, this is basically all there is to this plugin. So you pick the status property name. So for all of my boards, it is literally status, lowercase s. That means that this will function the same on all of those different boards. You can show notifications if you want when a status is updated. You would just toggle that on. There's a debug mode if you want to figure out what's actually not working. And then if you've got a Kanban board open in the background, you can run the test to make sure that it's configured correctly. So what this does is it's going to tell you found one card in the active Kanban board. It tested it with that current status, and everything seems to be working correctly. So now what we can do is we can drag this card from idea, for example, to backlog. All right, and if it worked correctly, yep, now when we see the preview, the status has been updated to backlog. So that's basically the whole workflow now. And this Kanban board is clean because I don't have any tags associated with these. I don't have any publish dates associated with these. I will actually show you the 3 different versions of this that I actually use now. So if we go, and I keep these all inside of a folder called writing projects. So these are all 3 different Kanban boards. I've got 3 different QuickAdd commands, 3 different sets of macros where literally the only difference is the template file, the folder, and then which Kanban board these are getting added to. So here's the articles one. This one is actually not used nearly as often as it used to be because I really don't do a whole lot of writing for the suite setup anymore. The newsletters, this actually ends up being cross-posted to my blog as well. So I could create separate articles for those blog posts, but because the content is 99% the same, I actually just use the same source. So this is showing ideas, it's showing things in the backlog, things that are in progress, things that are to be reviewed, and then the things that are published. And as you can see, what these are showing is actually the tags and the publish dates, as well as the files themselves. So that's newsletters. And then the last one here is the video scripts. And this is actually just one part of the YouTube video workflow, but it's the script writing part. So I mentioned that I do all of my YouTube videos. Those are all scripted. And so those all are going to happen right here. So the one that I just recorded today is this one, actually using Basis to create an on this day widget for your daily note. Got it all scripted. Now when I actually am reading this, I'm using teleprompter. I've got my YouTube desk over there, and I will not usually go word for word with this. I'll kind of riff on it a little bit as I go, but I like having the full text here. It's more efficient for me to write these all out than it is to just create the bullet list for some reason. But this is just the writing piece of the YouTube workflow. I guess I could show you Notion is where we manage the whole YouTube process. And the reason that I use Notion for this part of it is simply because Notion is great for collaborating. So I've got a video editor who helps me, and we go back and forth on thumbnails and things like that. So let's switch this over, actually. Let's look at Notion. All right. So this is nice. Yeah. Notion, my workflow for this is influenced heavily by going through Ali Abdaal's Part-Time YouTuber Academy. And then I've also been working with Tintin Smith, who was Ali's channel manager. He's got a program called 100K YouTuber. And so he actually helped me build out this system inside of Notion. And there's bits and pieces of this that I don't use. I tend to just keep like 80-20 the stuff that's on here, or the stuff that he gave me. So here is the calendar view of the videos that I published since we got the system rolling. Looks like about the 25th of May, I think that was, when I did the Tiny Experiments video. And basically Max and I, Max is someone that is in my community and has been around for a long time, been in all my cohorts, is a very good video editor, and so it was a logical choice to help me with the post-production of the video stuff, because he knows my content so well. By the way, I should mention the community is library.practicalpkm.com. It's a private PKM community. It's basically a bunch of live events, but also all of my courses, including the hybrid cohorts, and also Life HQ, which is my epic done-for-you Obsidian Vault. So you get all of that when you join the library. It's $49 a month. You pay quarterly, so it's $147 every 3 months, but you get access to everything when you join. So this is that's how Max and I connected. And then this is we have a bunch of different title ideas. So we go back and forth, and we just come up with a bunch of different ideas, and then we bold the one that we like the best. The Most Important Productivity Book Ever Written may seem like a very sensational title, but for the book Tiny Experiments, I actually believe that. The video actually talks about that. That's kind of the hook. There's some different thumbnail ideas. We had a bunch of different options. So he basically just like mocks up some stuff, throws it in the Notion card. We have a 30-minute meeting once a week, and we walk through all these things. I talk about the ones I like, I don't like, whatever. From here, he's going to take these, he's going to throw them into Keynote. I'm going to go and record the videos, then hand it off to him and edit it. Now, the actual like Kanban part for this inside of Notion, you can see right here. So we start with the title and the thumbnail, and then it goes to script writing, filming. That's me. So that's literally what I did today. Let's see. I did this one was should have been here, and now it's filmed. As soon as I am done zipping up that file and handing it off to Max, then I will move it over to editing. Okay, so these are the ones that he is, or he was editing. Actually, this one I think is published. All right, so this is him doing basically the talking head edits and the stylistic edits, but because a lot of the stuff that I do is very specific to my Obsidian workflows, the screencast stuff is not actually part of this. So Max and I will back and forth with these videos using a tool called frame.io. You can have 2 projects concurrently with the free version of Frame, and I'm probably at the point where I'm going to start paying for it, but it allows you to leave comments on things as you go. I can actually probably open up Frame and show you what this looks like if people are interested in this. All right, so let's change, let's change the screen share one more time. And we'll look at Frame. Okay, so Frame's just a website where you have the different projects. And then I need to archive this one. But what we do is we have different versions of these projects. So if I go into this one, so here is, let's see, this was V2, and then this is V1. So V1 typically is the one that's going to have more comments. If I open this up, it's basically just a preview here, but at any point in the video, I can go down here and I can just make a comment, and it's linked to that specific part of the video. So if you're going to go back and forth and collaborate with people on video, then frame.io is an incredible tool. Definitely recommend this one. Okay, so that's Frame. Let's go back to Notion. Okay, so we go back and forth with Frame, usually 2-3 times, and then when it's basically to the point where I need to add my screencast, Max will zip it up, send it over to me, and then I will download it and I'll do the screencast bits. I don't think there are any screencast bits for this one, but it might technically be in this specific stage because I'm going to have to basically download it, edit it, put the finishing touches on it in ScreenFlow, and then get it scheduled in YouTube. So that's basically the process there. But for most people who aren't going to have a whole bunch of very finicky screencasts, you probably don't need this part right here. The thing that has helped me the most with creating YouTube videos consistently, number one has been accountability. So I have a weekly call with Tintin, and what we do is we go over this calendar, and he bugs me and he's like, hey, so what's the process, or what's the status of the video that you're working on this week? What's the video after that? What's the video after that? And he tries to get me to plan out 5 to 6 weeks ahead, which has been really helpful. For the most part, this has worked, as you can see, with the exception of this week where I had stuff going on, and then Max was also out of town visiting a sick family member. So that was actually the first week I did a live stream, and the thought was, well, since I can't get a video out this week, I'll at least try a live stream and continuing to do these live streams because they are a lot of fun. So hopefully you find them helpful, you find them fun. Any ideas for things that you would like to see me cover, just please let me know. Always looking for topic ideas. But this is the one that's hopefully going to get published today. I'm going to work on finishing this one this afternoon. And with this video specifically, there's a couple things that I should point out here in terms of the metadata. So the video status, we don't really use this. I mean, this is Tintin's thing, and he was Ali Abdal's channel manager. So they had a bunch of people working on things, and so they had a bunch of different things set up where it would be very easy to see, who do I have to go to get to the thing that I need to get this video out the door. We basically just use this status, which is linked to that board. And then the important things here for me are the confidence, the product alignment, and the bucket. Well, in addition, the publish state. Yeah, so Joseph, it was Tintin Smith, Tintin. That's all one word, Smith. And then the program is the 100K YouTuber. It's a new program that he just launched a couple of months ago. It's been pretty helpful, though. It's been great to get direct feedback from somebody who really understands YouTube. So I do recommend that program. But this is one of the big things that I got from this was when you're planning these videos, confidence and product alignment. These are on a scale from 1 to 5. Confidence is basically how confident am I that this video is going to do well. And then 1 is low, 5 is high. And then product alignment, that doesn't necessarily mean, I'm pitching a product at the end of this video, but the things that I talk about in the video are relevant for the products and the services that I offer. So confidence gave this a 4, simply because there are a lot of other channels, if I do some research, where their how to get started with Obsidian videos tend to do very well. I haven't really done one of those. So this is my take on that. And then product alignment, if this video is for somebody who is new coming to Obsidian, the next logical place for me to point people after that would be something like LifeHQ, the Done For You Vault. More info on that, by the way, at vault.practicalpcam.com if you want to see that. But it's basically all the workflows and things prepackaged. This workflow that I'm walking through now, this is actually being added right now, so it's not available yet in LifeHQ. But it will be available shortly, and everybody who buys LifeHQ gets free updates. So when it is actually available and the documentation has been updated, then you'll get an email saying, this is what's new. And I keep a change log of all that stuff inside there as well. So product alignment, basically what you want is you want both of these to be as high as possible. So confidence of 4, product alignment 5, that's pretty good. Now, the other thing that is really helpful in terms of generating ideas is recognizing the bucket that these pieces of content fall into. So I've got 4 different buckets here, which are all loosely tied together around, who I'm trying to serve, what my brand's about, and hopefully linking back to my products and services. The one that doesn't really fit real great with this is the book club, but I don't really care because books are... I love books. One of my podcasts is called Bookworm. We read a different productivity, self-help, business type book every 2 weeks and talk about it. And I've been doing that for 220 something episodes. And reading all those books is really the thing that I contribute to helping me do more creatively. It basically makes sure that I never run out of ideas. So book club is basically, I have this podcast where I talk through these things with somebody else, but book club is basically like a 10-15 minute review, like the Tiny Experiments video, where I can go deep on, this is specifically what I liked about this, give it a rating, stuff like that. It's a natural complement to both Bookworm, which, by the way, at one point was mentioned in a video that Ali Abdaal had done. He changed the title since. I don't know what it's called now, but it used to be 10 podcasts that made me a millionaire. And it was like the Tim Ferriss show and these big podcasts. And then Bookworm was number 4, which was pretty cool. But we were so small that his team actually linked to the wrong Bookworm at first, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's okay. So book club is kind of like my passion project. It connects not directly, but it's part of my vibe, basically. My newsletter, I share book notes every single week. So I think that that's consistent with my personal brand. The rest of this, though, is very Obsidian centric. So tips and plugins, this is basically, tips on how to do something specific in Obsidian, like quick tips, or a plugin like this specific plugin I really like. More recent video for that would be, I did one on the Keep the Rhythm plugin. Yeah, building a writing habit with this Obsidian plugin. Lots of different types of thumbnails with this because the core of this is kind of the don't break the chain idea. So I think we went with something more similar to this, or maybe even this, where you could see like the visualization from the plugin, but definitely did not use the Jerry Seinfeld angle with this one. But this is an example of like the plugin bucket. And then there are PKM concepts. So there, I did a video recently on like note making versus note taking. Those are the types of things that I typically address in deep dives inside of my video courses. It's also the kind of stuff that I'll teach inside my community. And then the Obsidian workflows, these are kind of like the ones that I'm showing you here today, where I've built this whole workflow to accomplish this specific thing. It's very intentional. This piece connects to this piece, connects to this piece, so that I understand how all this stuff fits together and how the information flows between all those different pieces. All right, so those are the 4 buckets, and that's basically the YouTube production workflow. Regarding the last comment that I just made, though, about how the pieces fit together, I want to go back to Obsidian, and I want to show you one more thing here in relation to that. I mentioned this last time. You know what? Maybe I should just open up the Life HQ version of this. All right, let's close this one. Yeah, and we'll look at this. All right, so in Life HQ, I've included some Canvas files for building out your creativity flywheel and then your PKM stack as well as your PKM workflow. That's basically like different apps and things that you're going to use. This is what the PKM stack looks like. The clean version. So this is what it would look like if you were to use this file. There's 4 levels to the PKM stack. Information is the lowest level. This is stuff that you consume and maybe it doesn't really make a difference. You don't need to hang on to it, or maybe you need to stick it in cold storage somewhere and you can go search for it later if you need it, but it's not something that you're actively doing anything with. So the pieces that contribute to this are like messaging tools, email, RSS, notes from meetings and things. You're just going to stick it somewhere and then archive. Now, all of these are color coded to represent the apps that I personally use for those roles. I'll get to that in a minute. The next level is ideas. This is information that you will potentially take action on. So it has the potential to be something that you do, but not really. It's sort of in between. And for me, this is, I'll quick capture ideas to drafts, capture ideas from book notes, course notes, sketch notes. MOCs is maps, where basically I'm just like jotting down my opinions about things, and then mind maps from like books that I read and stuff like that. The next level is actions. This is the stuff that you do. So this is tasks, it's projects, it's habits, it's routines, meetings and appointments, things like that. Now the default way of information management, I guess, is that information comes in, we react to it, and it determines the quantity and the quality of the ideas that we have, which then in turn influences the things that we do. So it's a reactionary way to live. It's the source of FOMO. And the way to beat this is to start with the end in mind and actually add another layer on top, which I call identity. This is your mission statement, your vision, and your values. So the mission statement I call life theme. My life theme, it's a one sentence personal mission statement. So my life theme, I help people multiply their time and talent, leave a bigger dent in the universe. So everything that I do I try to make sure that it's in alignment with that. Otherwise, it's something that I say no to. So when you start with this piece, it acts as a filter for everything else. So it has a trickle-down effect all the way through the PKM stack. It influences the tasks and projects you engage with, the ideas that you have. It even acts as a filter for the information that you consume. So instead of having the FOMO, well, the answer to my problem is out there somewhere and I'm feeling this pain, I just need to find the next new shiny that's going to solve all this. You're able to actually use what you already have, and that actually makes a difference. So it's kind of flipping from FOMO to JOMO in a sense, which is like the joy of missing out. I don't feel the pressure anymore because I know what really is in alignment. Now, once you get in alignment, it doesn't stay that way. So there's this reflection piece. For me, this is daily journaling, and then also quarterly personal retreats. I actually think the next live stream I'm going to do, I'll probably do on the personal retreat stuff. But that's quarterly. I will get away and I will spend 8 hours thinking about what happened in the last quarter and planning the next quarter. So this is kind of what helps me keep things on track. When things go off the rails, that's how you get back on. And then here are the apps that I use that are assigned to these different roles. So these are basically the jobs that I have hired those apps to do. Kind of going back to like the Clayton Christensen thing. What he was working with, I think it was McDonald's, and they were trying to sell more milkshakes. And they started asking the customers who came in to buy the milkshakes, what job did you hire that milkshake to do? And they figured out specifically what they were trying to get out of it, and then they optimized for that. That's basically my approach to this. Okay, so that's the PKM stack piece, and this is really how I design all the systems in my life. I want information to flow freely between all these different parts. Now, that doesn't mean, though, that you should use Obsidian for everything. I actually talked about this in the video that I'm going to release, hopefully later today, that Obsidian shouldn't be the default, I think. You should layer the things in Obsidian that make sense for the way that you actually work, but it shouldn't be the default, because then it just turns into an everything app. And that's saying that when all you've got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. That's what happens with Obsidian. And pretty soon you're using it for all these different things, and it's really not having a positive impact on your workflow. You're actually introducing more friction that way. So not a great approach. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, that's kind of my whole creative workflow. Happy to answer any other questions that people may have, but have been talking for an hour, so we can wrap it up here too. Yeah, and I do have a version of kind of what I went over here today on my website. Practicalpkm.com is my website, and there's a bunch of posts there. I post every Monday. And then so that's basically like the essay from the newsletter, but it also has a podcast associated with it. So actually, let me switch windows one more time, and then we'll wrap up here. But if I go look at my Practical PKM website, okay, then here are the posts, and this is the newsletter I sent out yesterday. What I do if I were starting in Obsidian today. And so this is the text-based version of this. You'll find all the code snippets and things in here. You will also find the audio version of the newsletter. So this is basically a 7-minute podcast version if you want to listen to it instead of reading it. And then back on the main page there, if you wanted to join the newsletter, this is where you would do it. I send out the newsletter, like I said, every Monday morning, and it's got the original essay, something cool, and then the notes from a book that I've read recently. All right, so yeah, that's how I manage writing projects in Obsidian, and hopefully that sparked some ideas. If you were following along, hopefully you're able to get it to work for you as well with the QuickAdd macros and the Kanban plugin, the Kanban status updater, the templater. All of the links to all that stuff, by the way, is in the post on the website. And then also, I think I've got if it's not currently available, I think there's a video in production where I'm going to walk through all that kind of stuff. One of the things that I've noticed is that for a long time I struggled with creating something new on each of the platforms where I showed up. And I've had a couple coaches tell me basically, like, you can share the same thing different places because different people are going to be in different places. So it's not going to be exactly the same. It's going to look a little bit different when I do the YouTube video than when I share the text. But what that does, and maybe this is helpful for you, Joseph, or anybody else who's feeling the pressure of, I got to feel like they're on this content hamster wheel. You can actually repurpose stuff and reuse things. Not that you're just copy pasting. It's got to be appropriate for the platform. It's got to be something that people are interested in. But kind of the mindset shift I've embraced lately is, if I'm going to go through the effort of figuring out this workflow, let's get as much juice from this as we can. And what are all the different versions or flavors of this that I could slice up different ways and share different places, whether that's the newsletter, whether that's my blog, whether that's a long form YouTube video, a live session like this, shorts. That's something that I've been experimenting a little bit with, but I need to get more consistent with, or even text for social media platforms like X or LinkedIn. You can say the same thing different ways, different places. And in the back of my head for a long time, I was like, well, people are just going to see that I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again. Number one, if I did that, I think the people who the stuff really resonates with would probably like that. But number two, no one's really paying that much attention, all those different places. So just coming back to like the core message and what is it that I want to communicate? What is it that I think I have that could be helpful to people? And then feel free to share that wherever and whenever I can. All right. We'll wrap it up there. Thanks everybody for being on today. This is a lot of fun. And again, if you want more of this live stuff, check out the community. There's a bunch of information at library.practicalpkm.com. Would love to have you join me and a bunch of other serious sense makers there. We've got actually a session that somebody's presenting next Friday on using the breadcrumbs plugin inside of Obsidian. So if you want to get around other PKM nerds, that's the place to do it. But thanks everyone for being on, and we'll see you next time.